How does an entire village of 115 people just vanish into thin air? There were no bodies found. There was no blood spilled on the ground. There were no signs of a struggle. Just silence. They left behind a single word carved into a tree, and then they were erased from history. To this day, it remains the oldest and most terrifying cold case in the American continent. Today is episode 7 of our 400-day journey. We are investigating the haunting mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke. This isn't just a ghost story to tell around the campfire. This is a historical fact that happened in the year 1590. Imagine leaving your family behind to cross an ocean to get food, only to return 3 years later and find they have simply ceased to exist. The psychological horror of that moment is impossible to comprehend. The year is 1587. A group of English settlers establishes a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. They are men, women, and children looking for a new life. They are led by their governor, John White. But life in the New World is brutal. The winter is harsh, the soil is difficult to farm, and the supplies are running dangerously low. To make matters worse, the relations with the local indigenous tribes are breaking down. They are isolated and starving. John White makes a heartbreaking choice. He decides to sail back to England to get help, supplies, and reinforcements. It is a desperate mission, but he believes it is the only way to save them. He leaves behind his beloved daughter, Eleanor, and his newborn granddaughter, Virginia Dare. She was the first English child ever born in America. As he stepped onto the ship, he promised to return in 3 months. But history had other plans. Just as White arrived in England, a massive war broke out between England and Spain. The Spanish Armada was attacking. Every seaworthy ship was seized by the Queen for battle. John White was trapped in England, helpless, for 3 long years. Every day, he looked out at the ocean, wondering if his daughter and granddaughter were still alive, knowing they were running out of food. When he finally returns in August of 1590, his heart is pounding. As his ship approaches the island, the crew sees smoke rising in the distance. They cheer. They think the colonists are alive and cooking dinner. But when they row ashore, their hearts sink. The smoke wasn't from a cooking fire. It was just a natural forest fire burning in the woods. The village itself is dead silent. John White runs to the settlement, shouting his daughter's name. He runs to the houses where he left them. But only the wind answers him. The colony is completely deserted. The scene he found was baffling. The houses hadn't been burned down or destroyed by an attack. They had been carefully dismantled. The settlers had taken them apart, piece by piece. This implies they didn't flee in a panic. They left calmly. But if they left calmly, why did they leave their most valuable possessions? Huge, heavy chests belonging to John White were found dug up and ransacked. His books were scattered on the ground, ruined by the rain and rot. White ran to the entrance of the fort, looking for a sign. Before he left 3 years ago, he gave them a secret code. He told them, if you move location, carve the name of the place on a tree. But if you are in danger, carve a Maltese cross. He found the tree. It was a massive wooden post near the entrance. Carved deep into the wood was a single word, Croatoan, and on another nearby tree, the letters CRO. He checked everywhere for the cross. There was no cross. This meant they left willingly. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island where a friendly tribe lived. It seemed like the obvious answer they had moved there. John White was desperate to go there immediately. But the ocean turned against him. A massive hurricane struck the coast that very night. The anchor cable of his ship snapped, and the vessel was nearly destroyed. The crew mutinied. They refused to go any further into the storm. John White was forced to make the most painful decision of his life. He had to sail back to England, leaving his family behind forever. He died never knowing what happened to them. For centuries, the trail was cold. But in 1937, a tourist in the woods of North Carolina found a large quartz stone covered in strange carving. It appeared to be a message. The text claimed to be written by Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter. It read, "Father, we go to the deep woods. War and misery. All but 7 are dead." It described a gruesome massacre. It said the savages killed them all, including little Virginia Dare. Historians originally called it a hoax. But recently, linguists analyzed the grammar on the first stone and found it perfectly matches Elizabethan English, a dialect that would be incredibly hard to fake. Then there are the darker theories. The Native American tribes in the area have told a story for centuries about a white doe deer that was pure white and had blue eyes. They believe this deer was the spirit of Virginia Dare, haunting the woods where she died. Other legends speak of the Wendigo, an evil spirit in these woods that drives starving men to madness and cannibalism. Did the colonists run out of food? Did they turn on each other in the dark winter? Is that why they dismantled the houses to hide the evidence of what they had done? Modern science offers one last clue. Decades after the disappearance, explorers found tribes in North Carolina who had gray eyes and spoke English words. Did the survivors assimilate and marry into the tribes? 115 souls vanished. If you visit Roanoke Island today, locals say the woods are unusually quiet. They say the birds don't sing near the old fort. Did they find a new home? Or does the word Croatoan mark the site of a massacre we still haven't found? The truth is buried in the American soil, waiting to be dug up. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and tell me in the comments. Do you think they survived? Or was it something darker?